What's up, everybody? Let's talk about this government shutdown. I've been following it kind of closely. Let's listen to a couple clips and see what these people are saying. It seems kind of crazy that a few days before Christmas we're at it again, but let's see what excuses people are making this time. Let's check out, this is NBC. What are they saying?
Ryan Nobles joins us now from Capitol Hill. Ryan, there is late drama there tonight.
Lester, that's right. The latest move by House Republicans, a new vote. Their proposal on the House floor failed dramatically, leaving the GOP scrambling for a Plan C as the deadline before a government shutdown approaches. Tonight, House Republicans back to square one.
This is Washington. This is how the lawmaking is done.
House Speaker Mike Johnson forced back to the drawing board after President-elect Trump said he opposed the original bipartisan legislation, which he said contained too much wasteful spending. Elon Musk, who will lead Trump's effort to cut government spending, has also slammed the original 1,500-page spending bill as a steal of your tax dollars. The new GOP bill is slimmed down, just 116 pages. It funds the government through March 14th, including providing funding for disaster relief and for farmers. And in a direct ask from Trump, includes a provision to extend the debt limit, the ability of the federal government to pay off its debts, through 2027. And the new Republican plan cuts many items in the bipartisan bill that had sparked conservative backlash, including a plan to raise the salaries of members of Congress and funding for a new Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. Trump was quick to back the deal, writing all Republicans and even Democrats should do what is best for our country and vote yes for this bill tonight. House Democrats slamming the new bill, saying it doesn't fund important programs.
Extreme MAGA Republicans are driving us to a government shutdown.
While Senate Democrats blasting Musk's influence.
He is unraveling what was a hard-won and hard-negotiated agreement that would keep the lights on for government.
Again, Lester, this latest Republican plan was voted down, a blow to President-elect Trump and House Speaker Mike Johnson. They now have until midnight tomorrow night to come up with a plan to avoid a shutdown with no plan in sight.
So I guess what I don't understand is, why is this all happening 2 days before the government is supposed to shut down? Like, why is this bill only being revealed now? Why are Trump and Elon Musk only responding to it now? Like, it all just seems like this circus to create like a fake sense of urgency. Like, at the last minute, we got to get approved. We've been negotiating for months, but why are we only hearing about it now? Or why is it only an issue now? I'm sure that they've been talking about it, but, you know, I'm not an insider, so I don't know. But it just seems odd to me that there's all this. Elon Musk is coming out against it yesterday. I think Congress, or, you know, the leaders of Congress, it's like a 1,600-page bill or something. They all don't read it, or they don't get a chance to read it until a few hours before they vote on it. And I think the raising the debt ceiling part, some other reporting that I've seen is Trump wants them to raise the debt ceiling so that he doesn't have to do it. And so they want to slim down the bill, but they want to pass the debt ceiling. So they don't want to, I think specifically said that this should happen under Joe Biden and not him. But I guess the Republicans that ended up voting against it don't want to raise the debt ceiling. So let's see what Fox News is saying.
News alert now. The House has overwhelmingly rejected a new spending deal, despite it being backed by Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
What's the play tomorrow?
What's the plan?
Stay tuned.
Well, we keep hearing that. You gonna run another bill tomorrow, though?
We'll see.
South Carolina Congressman Ralph Norman voted no on the latest bill, along with 37 of his Republican colleagues, and he joins me now. Congressman, why?
So 38 Republicans voted against it, with almost all Democrats. So that's another thing. If the Republicans control the House, why can't they just get their act together? I don't understand.
Why were you a no?
Well, a couple of things, Todd. The original bill was 1,547 pages long. and the second bill was 661 pages long. Would anybody given 12 hours to read that sign that? Secondly, the debt negotiation.
That's a good point. Why are you only given 12 hours to read and vote on this stuff?
The debt limit was thrown in at the last minute. I just disagree with that. I'm not going to mortgage the future of the country, and I just disagree with Mike Johnson that we run it down to the last minute. We've got today at 12 o'clock midnight is when the government shuts down if we don't have an agreement. I've seen this playbook before. You take your time, you negotiate it, and I think this will be the last time that we are in this position waiting this long. So, I support Donald Trump and everything he's doing. He saved the country. But this last spending spree, I can justify that to constituents all over the country all day long.
We hear all this talk, like you said, about a shutdown before Christmas. Seems like it happens every year, every other a couple years. In reality, what does a shutdown mean for the average American watching this at home right now?
Shutdown means you pay essential services. Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare payments go out. You can have a limited shutdown, Todd. You can pay military benefits. You can put airline personnel, but the essential services shut down. The parks are one that the cleanup of those don't. But we can vote and have, line item limited shutdown and work this thing, take the time to work this thing out. It shouldn't come down to this. A gun is to our head, but I would argue the gun is to the head of the American people of mortgaging our future. And you're not in that. You shouldn't be in that position.
Do you think there's a deal by tonight?
This is what I don't understand. What is this gun to the head, like government shutdown rhetoric all about? Why is this necessary at all? And I think, why are we starting to justify that the only way to get stuff done is by shutting some of it down? I've seen some stuff about how the bill is full of pork. It's full of like all the spending. I haven't read the bill, so I don't know. But at least that's what it seems like is being reported, where there's not any sort of, everything just gets kind of bundled together in one bill. And then if you want your priorities passed, or you want to fund a bridge or keep the parks open or anything like that, or keep TSA running, it seems like you need to pay. And it seems like everybody needs to jam everything into a single bill. If you look at, I was looking through Elon. So Elon yesterday was tweeting that they should kill the bill. And so I think, this is one that I saw. J.D. Vance saying Democrats asked for a shutdown. Let's see what he says.
Mr. Vance, will you accept any deal that does not include a debt limit increase?
Look, I'll say one thing. The Democrats just voted to shut down the government, even though we had a clean CR, because they didn't want to give the president negotiating leverage during his first term, or during the first year of his new term. And number two, because they would rather shut down the government and fight for global censorship bullshit. They've asked for a shutdown, and I think that's exactly what they're going to get.
38 Republicans vote against it as well. What's the path forward, Mr. Vance?
I mean, this is what is so infuriating about all this. There's just theater. There's just these people who, and the media eats it up too. But I mean, just the fact he didn't answer the question. But Republicans control the House. How did the Democrats ask for a shutdown? There's a Republican Speaker of the House. He's the one negotiating, coordinating votes. Why did 38, including the guy that we just listened to, what was this guy's name? Ralph Norman from South Carolina, he voted against it. And so then this guy's saying that the Democrats forced the shutdown, something about leverage. I think all of this just feels like everybody's trying to mislead people about why the government is so dysfunctional. And it's really frustrating. It's so tiring to listen to, people like this say like they just try to flip it on. It's the Democrats who don't want to give the president negotiating power. And when it's Elon Musk he says the same thing. The vast majority of Republican House members voted for the spending bill, but only 2 Democrats did. Okay, fine. Therefore, if the government shuts down, it's obviously the fault of Jeffries. How? If the Republicans control the House. This is weird. This weird line of reasoning where when Democrats try to pass stuff, like in the Senate, for example, and they can't reach the filibuster, they can't get more than 60 votes. It's, well, the majority of people don't support it. The Democrats can't get the votes. And it's always, it's always some way to blame Manchin or Sinema or one of these people for not voting with the party. But when it's Republicans who can't even reach a majority, it's somehow still the Democrats' fault. It's something that both parties do. It's something that both parties, where they pretend to have their hands tied and all they do is blame people. And I think it's because ultimately, like, they don't actually want to get anything done. Like, they'd rather fight. And the fact that this guy, Elon Musk, they're saying President Musk, Vice President Trump, like the fact that he's so involved, I think, yeah, he donated a lot to Trump, but he's also unelected. And it does make you wonder, how far does this guy's influence reach? Why is he threatening to primary members of the House? Democrats risk a shutdown. Let's see what this is a minute long. What he says.
Can you just stop at the mic, sir, and explain what's going on?
Yeah, look, it is very disappointing that...
Camera, watch out. Watch out. Move back.
That's the full camera.
Sorry, thank you, sir.
Very disappointing to us that all but 2 Democrats voted against aid to farmers and ranchers.
Again, why is this all but 2 Democrats when 38 Republicans didn't vote for it? They didn't vote for it. You're not even your whole party is in unison about this, but they immediately, I think you should always be very skeptical of people like, everybody that I'm talking about here who won't admit what's actually going on, and it's all just political spin. Let's see what he says.
Against disaster relief, against all these bipartisan measures that had already been negotiated and decided upon. Again, the only difference on this legislation was that we would push the debt ceiling to January of 2027. I want you all to remember that it was just last spring that the same Democrats berated Republicans and said that it was irresponsible to hold the debt limit, the debt ceiling hostage. What changed? It is, I think, really...
The election. I think what's obvious is that when the party is in the minority, they exert whatever leverage they can, and then the other party fakes moral outrage about why what they're doing is irresponsible and reckless, but they both do it. These guys are all crooks.
Really irresponsible for us to risk a shutdown over these issues on things that they have already agreed.
Yeah, I mean, this is, it's nothing but these guys pretending that they're the good guys, Republicans, or, people in power. Democrats do it when they're also in charge. And I mean, so let's take a look. U.S. averts shutdown. Races to avert shutdown. Long negotiated bipartisan agreement. So there were some negotiations going on. A hastily backed proposal by Trump failed. And that's when Elon and Trump started threatening to primary people. Because at the last minute, they changed the bill. If this guy is so smart and he's so, in charge, Trump, why did he wait until the day before this stuff is all set to expire? I think if he was able to kill the bill and then get his own bill passed, that's fine. If you're flexing your power, you got elected, whatever. But he can't even do that. So I don't really get what this is accomplishing other than this like fake narrative of like, let's shut down the government until Trump is in office, and let's increase weights at airports. Let's delay approvals for Social Security and Medicare. Yeah, here's a bit about clearly the driving force behind its failure. So it's just like Elon showed up at the last minute. And I'm not, you shouldn't defend the existing process just because of what's happening right now. I do think it's bullshit that when they vote on these bills, they're these massive 1,600-page bills that people don't get to review beforehand. So we should be clear about that there's no reason why we can't have more transparency in government. Especially, it seems like Mike Johnson might lose a speakership over it. Ever since Trump won, I've talked to a lot of people about just who are frustrated about what Trump is going to do and what this unchecked power is going to lead to. But I think if you've been paying attention, if you pay attention to Trump's first term, to Republicans whenever they're both parties, whenever they're in charge, there's so much dysfunction that they rarely actually get anything done. They get one or two major priorities through, and then that's it. They cobble together enough people to pass something through the House and Senate, and then they're just bickering the rest of the time. This guy, Trump's not even in office yet, and there is already dysfunction. So I think to all the people who are I think worried about dictator Trump and all the stuff that he might do, you're seeing it. You're watching it happen in real time where he took a lot, the money that he took from Elon Musk isn't free. He's going to have certain expectations around his own priorities. Like you see, here he's got flexing his power. He's saying that it's part of Doge and, whatever else he says is right for, meddling in the government. But, just because this guy is a good entrepreneur, a great entrepreneur, and he runs a lot of different companies, doesn't mean that he necessarily knows what's going on in the federal government. I think this thing will grind anybody to a halt just seeing how dysfunctional it is. And then here, let's listen a little bit of breaking points. They were talking about Elon Musk, and then I think Bernie Sanders also was saying something about calling him President Musk. Let's see. Let's put it here.
Right, so that was Adam Kinzinger, Democrat now. Hilarious, but
former Republican member.
In the previous clip, Adam Kinzinger, former Republican congressman, calls him President Musk on CNN.
Member of Congress
we
who
can
aren't
talk
familiar
about
with him,
yeah.
January 6th committee, anti-Trump, etc.
Pro-Ukraine, basically the congressman from Ukraine lost. Anyway, we can continue. The point is that is now a very popular moniker the Democrats are going with. Bernie Sanders, including, let's put this up there on the screen, Democrats and Republicans spent months negotiating a bipartisan agreement to fund our government. The richest man on earth, President Elon Musk, doesn't like it. Will Republicans kiss the ring?
Yes, they will.
Billionaires must not be allowed to run our government. Well, our president is going to be a billionaire. It's a little bit difficult.
Yeah, well, it's different.
When, no, he's not a real billionaire. Is that correct? From J.B. Pritzker.
Well, I think what he means is unelected billionaires. It's one thing when you were actually, won the popular.
It's funny because this is the exact same thing that Republicans can accuse Democrats of doing. That George Soros secretly runs the entire government, except Elon Musk is pretty openly saying, making demands of the government. So it's funny to think that when it doesn't align with your politics, they're evil, they're stealing your tax money. But when it's somebody that you do agree with, you make excuses for why it needs to be done. Why Elon and Vivek need to make deep cuts to the government. And I'll do another segment about what that actually looks like. I think when you actually read into how the federal budget is spent, there's not that much wiggle room to downsize the government if you're not willing to go after defense spending, which is pretty unclear if they will. That budget just keeps growing every year. But let's keep listening.
Vote and people backed you. I don't think that they thought that they were voting for Elon Musk necessarily.
I don't know about that. We have this poll we can discuss. Let's put this up there on the screen. Do you approve or disapprove of Elon playing a prominent role in the Trump administration? This is from Quinnipiac. Sample size is 924 people. Let's say 53% disapprove, 41% approve. I don't know quite yet. I mean, Elon does have a pretty high approval rating with the American people, especially with Republicans.
I think when anybody's not involved in any decisions of consequence and they can just kind of do, Elon, for as much criticism as he gets, he's still covered pretty favorably. He's still like the genius entrepreneur, SpaceX, Tesla, fighting OpenAI, whatever it is, he gets to do a lot of stuff without a ton of scrutiny. And, I don't trust any polling around, especially something that do you approve or disapprove his prominent role in the Trump administration. I don't think people voted for this. I don't think if people wanted to vote for Elon Musk, they would have voted for Elon Musk. Legally he can't be president, but if he wants to be in government, run for governor, run for senator. I don't know.
Certainly with Republicans.
To see what that is. I mean, he was up there with Bezos and the other industrialists for a while in terms of the most popular people in the country. Took a huge hit, obviously, after he started getting political. I think the big question is not about even like small d democratic question around Elon. It's about Trump. There's a huge question here about how long Trump is going to allow this. So there's a couple of things that are happening. Right now, Trump seems to have made peace with the Elon stuff because he has now decided to make the debt ceiling part of his crusade. But look, Trump doesn't care about spending, and he doesn't care about debt, okay? You could just look at his previous administration if you're curious for evidence on that one. He doesn't care at all. But the thing is that if he gets backed into an unpopular corner, as we've seen a million times, he'll drop you. And so...
Yeah, Trump. I think that's the funny thing, that once Trump... It's funny to think that Elon, even for Trump, it's like, this guy's a bit much, potentially. I do think that Sagar's right, that if he starts to overshadow Trump, no matter what he's doing, and if he takes too much credit, there's just too much ego. No matter what these guys are trying to accomplish, I do think that there is quite a bit of ego involved, and that these guys will only play nice for so long before they start to get on each other's nerves or there's a riff. And I think this government shutdown is a good example, with this coming in at the last minute. Who knows, I'm sure that there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, but just from our perspective, the shutdown is supposed to happen at midnight tonight. Trump tried to force a bill at the last minute. They're trying to blame Democrats. Joe Biden is nowhere. I don't know what that guy is doing. It's crazy that this guy is still president, and I don't know if he's asleep or if he's still alive, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, that's what I know about the government shutdown. I don't know. That's just what I've been able to gather from reading some news, watching some clips. But if this continues, I think, we'll see some pretty serious airport delays and just kind of like administrative issues happening throughout the next couple of days, right before Christmas. Not a great look for anybody. It's pretty embarrassing that this is just the way that our government functions, but there you have it. I'll catch you later.